Alright guys, the next part of our progression series, we're going to talk muscle ups. So we're going to start with strict muscle ups, then we'll move into kipping muscle ups. So the first thing, before even starting or thinking about starting muscle ups, is to make sure that you have a really good foundation of strict pull-ups and preferably, definitely strict chest to bar. And I'll explain why that's important here in a little bit. So starting with strict, again with all gymnastics movements and CrossFit, we always want to establish the movement strict before moving into dynamic, which is kipping or butterfly. So having a really good foundation of strict with the strength movements is going to set you up for more success as you move into the kipping movement. So first things first, false grip and hanging in false grip. This can be a little uncomfortable for people first getting into that false grip. It hurts the wrist, it's uncomfortable. Some people might have the strength quite yet to even hang and support their body weight. So the first thing is to establish a good false grip active ring hang. So you're just going to get into your false grip. You have to have a false grip when doing strict muscle ups. So you get in your false grip and then just practice actively hanging. So my knees are locked out, active in the lats. I'm in a good hollow body position. And inactive would be here. We don't want to get stuck in this position or down here and lose our false grip. Okay, so that's the first thing, is establishing a good base for being able to just support your body weight. The next thing is going to be pulling. All right, so the first part of the movement is I would say a chest to ring or lower pull up. So you're going to start small. We'll start with a strict false grip ring pull up. So you're going to pull with your hands parallel, keeping them as close to together as possible, and you're going to pull just below the chin. So you're going to get false grip. Your goal is to be able to maintain that false grip the whole time. Coming in here, staying in a hollow body position, you're going to pull just below the chin. Okay, for your strict ring pull-up. So establishing a good hollow body position is going to be key, and you're going to see why in the next movement. But you want to make sure that you're staying hollow body. You want your hips to be in extension, toes are pointed, legs together, feet should rise with you. You should never have your feet stuck back behind you, should always be slightly in front of the body. The next piece is going to be pulling lower. So now we're going to try to go chest to rings. Even if you can go even lower, you might want to try to start aiming for just below, right at the sternum. Ladies, think about it just below your sports bra. So getting into your false grip, starting with an active hang. Pull as low as you can. When I'm pulling, or when you're pulling, you want to think about keeping the rings into the body. So this is going to set you up for that transition. The lower that you can pull, the easier the transition is going to be. The second part of that is, if you could see that when I was pulling, my shoulders were coming back, so I was kind of leaning back slightly as I pull versus pulling myself straight through the rings. That would look like this. So here, okay, you won't be able to hit the transition if you're pulling yourself straight through the rings. Okay, I did on that second one. So you want to have the shoulders slightly leaning back, because the goal is to get your shoulders over the top of the rings. And in order to do that, you have to have them behind the rings so that they have somewhere to go over the top. Okay, so when you're doing this, keeping a good hollow body position, hips and legs should be coming with you. So as you pull, you're leaning slightly back. Knuckles should be touching, getting as low as possible. Okay, so that's the first step. Now, once you've mastered the pulling part, now we're going to build from the rings on the floor with the spot, and then we'll move to spotted on the high rings. Okay, so coming this way. All right, so starting on a low set of rings, this will allow us to use our legs for a spot. So you're going to start at the bottom position, shins, top of the foot should all be resting on the ground. When you set up, you want to make sure that you are halfway, so half of your body is in front of the pull-up bar, the other half is behind. You're going to get into your false grip. You're going to pull using as much of your upper body as possible. Remember that lean back, You're gonna come up onto your toes using a toenail spot, transition. Okay, so feet are still on the ground, I'm still supported. Okay, I'm in the bottom of that transition. Then from here to the dip, lock out. Now from here, you wanna control the way down. So come down the way you came up. So you're gonna go back to the bottom of a dip. You're gonna find that false grip, so you're gonna bring the shoulders back, keeping them close. Notice that my elbows are nice and tight into the body. My knuckles are touching each other in the center. And then from there, I'm just gonna come back down to the bottom. So we're establishing control through the entire movement from the bottom up, back through, top down, okay? So one thing on here, if you notice that my elbows aren't locked out, when you set the rings for this progression, you might wanna make sure that you can get into a position where your feet are on the ground and you're in your deepest ring dip, bottom of your transition, so receiving position as possible. So for some of you, if it were set up higher for long arms, you might not be able to reach that position. So the focus here is being able to keep your feet on the ground. So if that means that you have a slight bend in the elbow on this transition, it's okay. The next movement we'll go into starting with a straight arm, make it a little bit more difficult. So for this next transition, you're gonna use a taller set of rings. You're gonna start, and it's gonna be pretty similar to the start of what we did on the floor with that first progression, except instead of having your knees, you're gonna have the top of your foot laying on top of a box, so that now I can still use my legs for support. My arms are locked out. From here, same thing happens. You're gonna pull, transition, dip, come back, find the box, make sure it's there, and back to your finished position. So, what makes this one a little bit more difficult? Obviously, one is a little bit less of a spot at the bottom. Two, when you get into that receiving position, you're actually going to have to be able to support your body weight. Okay, so that's the big key here, is supporting your body weight, staying tight, coming out of it, and then right back down. Same thing, follow the bottom all the way through till you hit lockout at the bottom to finish the movement. So these are your progressions for the strict muscle up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, Jessica at Car Who's Strength, and next week we'll go over kipping for kipping muscle ups.